Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7. I am back with another track guide for this week's current daily race C at Road Atlanta in Group 3, default setups, BOP on, and we're on the medium tyre for qualifying, so the guide is done on mediums, and you will be using the racing hard tyre only in the race. You're not going to do any pit stops, it's a no stop on the hard tyre for race. But yeah, if you do enjoy these videos, if they help you out, please do feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, it's a huge help to me, and let me know in the comment section whether it's managed to get you any pace or not, and hopefully we can help you find a little bit of time around Road Atlanta in Group 3. So starting your lap completely flat out on this final section here through this corner. You don't need to lift at all there, and working your way into turn 1. So for turn 1, we're going to be looking at the end of the barrier on the left here. So the orange bit there, that is your braking reference. Where the tarmac starts and the grass ends is your reference for where to get on the brakes. You can see dead on the brakes just as we hit that point there. Now we're going to try and widen the line in. You can actually see using the left bit of tyre onto the white line and then trying to get this car right up to the apex. You can see just a little bit of braking input going into that corner. It's not aggressive, and on the throttle as early as you can to carry the momentum all the way into this corner. Now you're going to start turning left into this curb. You can see left hand tyre almost grazing along the curb on the left there. You can actually see you do actually skim the curb. And now braking inputs going in just after the start of that curb to make sure you're braking early. You want to get on the brakes, making sure that you're rotating it in and turning in very early for this right hand part. You're turning in blind, knowing that the apex is there, and you want to get your right hand tyre over the curb. You can see you're using a lot of this curb. If you get it right, you won't get a penalty, and the car won't get too unsettled as well. Now powering our way down this left hand corner, you can see playing with the throttle a little bit through here because we've got to be careful that we don't understeer. And this right hand corner now, it's all about turning in quite early, but you see I might have turned in a fraction too early here. You want to be just clipping the curb on the right there, and I'm going to have to go up to 5th gear early just to stop the understeer. Now into this tricky, really tricky corner. Now you can see that the Ghost in front uses the racing line. I tend to go to the right here. It's something that I've done since the X 2019. Get the left hand tyre on the curb and right hand tyre on the grass. Now this is a tricky way to do it. You're probably better just keeping it on the track and taking a little less speed in, but the way I like doing it is it can carry quite a lot of speed on the exit. You can see as long as your left hand tyre stays on that curb, the blue and yellow part of the curb, you shouldn't get a penalty. If it goes over that, that's where you're going to get a penalty. Now track limits are a little bit inconsistent here, so you're going to get penalties sometimes when you don't think you should. Now into this next braking zone, we're going to use that board there, the 300 board on the left, as a reference for where we're going to get on the brakes. Now as we approach that, you can see onto the brakes there, and braking quite aggressively here to start with. You can see heavy braking, and then you're going to trail brake off as you go through to the corner. So you want to be turning in quite early for this corner. You can see turning in and then getting ready to put the throttle down. You can see the throttle inputs going in as we're on the apex of the corner, and then as soon as the car is in a straight line and your left hand tyre straightened up on that curb, onto the brakes, because we're going to downshift to 2nd, then to 1st gear, let the car rotate, then onto the throttle as we're getting near the apex and powering, using that acceleration. Just be careful with the rear of the car there. It can be a little bit unstable as you put the power down, but as long as you get good traction, you should be able to work your way all the way down here with good momentum. So flat out on this straight, this is the one bit of rest you have on this lap. This lap is pretty intense at Road Atlanta, and now you're going into the braking zone, which again we're going to use this reference here on the right hand side. The 200 board is a good reference to use for your braking. So as we approach that, you can see onto the brakes. Now you can brake later than what I'm doing here, however you might have a little bit of an issue when it comes to slowing the car down in terms of this corner. So I like to get it slowed down and rotated and really sent over the curb. So you can see as we're coming in here, trail braking in over the curb, use as much of the curb as possible to widen the line in, down to 2nd gear as well. You can see as soon as I'm over the curb, squeeze the throttle and then upshift to 3rd gear before you get to the apex, so that you're powering out of this corner with a little bit lower on the rev, so that it's a bit more traction. So you can keep the foot almost planted fully there. You can see flat out, full throttle, and then working our way down into the final corner, going over the line for a 1 minute 17.4. Not an amazing lap, but it's a pretty solid lap, and hopefully that'll give you some sort of guidance to how to get a good lap. So let's watch that again from the chase camera, and we'll point some stuff out again. So again, watch the left hand tyre using the full width of the track, going all the way over to the white line and then chucking it in early. You really got to get it into that apex so that you can get on the power nice and early into this corner. Again, left hand tyre onto the curb, braking, turning, and then onto the throttle. It's really tricky. That is probably one of the trickiest corners on this track, I think, along with this one up here. But you're going to see how I do this. I go over to the grass on the right hand tyre, keep the left hand tyre on the curb, and it works for me. Now in the race, it's been working reasonably well for me. Sometimes you can risk getting a penalty doing it, but I find that way easier to do for some reason than just keeping it on the track. I'm not sure why, but that way for me just feels more natural. So now into this corner, powering it out. Just be careful, like I say, use first gear to rotate the car, but then just be careful on the throttle as you power your way down this straight. Very short lap here, not too many corners when you've finished the first sector. It's pretty much straight line, and then obviously this final chicane, and then flat out to the finishing line. But this corner, again, very important to your lap time. So important to get this car turned in, rotated onto the throttle, and then upshift the third gear and get that momentum. The powering out of this corner here is really important to the lap time. You can be on a really good lap. If you don't nail that corner, you can lose 2 tenths straight away. So try and get on the power nice and early there and get that lap completed. Hopefully this has helped you out. Let me know in the comments if it does. Let me know. Subscribe to the channel, obviously, and hit that like button if you haven't already done so. But I'll be back with more of these, along with the 2 million credit guides and live streams. Thanks again for watching, everyone.